This episode of True Mind is produced by Sweetoprod. That's www.sweetoprod.com. Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today, we're going deep into the science of relaxation. You might think kicking back is as easy as, well, just kicking back. But we're going to uncover some surprising facts about how and why relaxation really works. Get ready to rethink what it means to truly unwind.
You'd be surprised how much is going on beneath the surface.
Okay, let's dive into the guided meditation transcript. This one's from the mindful movement, and it really emphasizes using the breath as an anchor. It might seem overly simplistic, but what's the science behind this? Does just paying attention to your breath really make a difference when it comes to regulating our emotions?
It absolutely does. You see, when you focus on your breath, you're not just calming down in the moment, you're actually training your mind to shift away from those looping thoughts and anxieties that trigger the stress response. And that shift in focus can have a huge impact on how you regulate your emotions.
Let's shift gears to something you might be surprised to hear about. Digital detox. It's not as painful as you might think. We've got this research, a comprehensive review on digital detox, and it shows that people actually report feeling better when they disconnect. Why do you think that is?
It's fascinating, isn't it? It seems counterintuitive. But stepping away from the constant digital stream allows your brain to reset. Think about it. Notifications, news feeds, social media, it's all designed to keep you hooked. But it can leave you feeling mentally drained and emotionally exhausted. A digital detox provides a much-needed break.
But wouldn't you miss out on
That's where FOMO comes in, right? But the research suggests that by taking a break, you actually create space for more meaningful experiences and a greater sense of emotional balance. Offline activities, real-world connections, and hobbies that truly nourish you. It's about finding a balance with technology that supports your well-being.
That's a great challenge for our listener. Could you handle a digital detox? What might you discover about yourself? If you unplugged for a while,
I think many people would be surprised by how much their emotional state improves when they disconnect for a bit.
and you know what else can really hit that reset button? Nature. It's not just about feeling good. The research from associations between nature exposure and health shows a measurable impact on both your physical and mental well-being.
You know those moments when you step outside and just feel a sense of calm wash over you? There's a real physiological basis for that. Nature provides a sensory experience that can soothe your nervous system and restore a sense of balance. And that sense of balance can be really helpful when it comes to regulating your emotions.
So it's more than just a mood booster.
Way more. We're talking lower blood pressure,
Yeah.
a strengthened immune system, even some studies suggesting faster healing after surgery.
Faster healing. Just from being outdoors. That's incredible.
It is. And here's the really cool part. Research has shown that even viewing nature through a window can have positive effects.
So we got all these amazing ways to tap into relaxation. And I'm curious about something. This study, effectiveness of progressive muscle relaxation, deep breathing, and guided imagery, analyzes these different techniques head-to-head. Let's break them down. You mentioned progressive muscle relaxation. What's the idea behind that one? And how does it help us regulate our emotions?
It's all about consciously relaxing your muscles, which in turn helps to ease mental tension. Think about it. When you're stressed, your muscles tense up, and that physical tension can feed into your emotional state, making you feel even more anxious or overwhelmed. This technique guides you through systematically tensing and releasing different muscle groups to break that cycle.
I've heard so much about deep breathing, but how is that different from just focusing on my breath, like in the guided meditation?
That's a great question. Deep breathing is more intentional. You're engaging your diaphragm and taking those really slow, deep breaths. It's like sending a direct signal to your nervous system to chill out. It can actually lower your heart rate and blood pressure, which in turn can have a calming effect on your emotions.
Now that's hacking the system. And what about guided imagery? What's going on there? How does it tie into emotional regulation?
That's where your imagination comes into play. It's about using vivid mental imagery. To create a sense of peace and calm, imagine yourself on a tranquil beach, or maybe a lush forest. By focusing on those positive images, you can shift your attention away from stress and allow your body to relax. And when your body relaxes, your mind tends to follow suit, making it easier to manage difficult emotions.
So many cool techniques. Do you have a favorite? What works best for you?
I find that different techniques work best in different situations. Sometimes I need the focused relaxation of deep breathing, while other times I need the mental escape of guided imagery. It really depends on what kind of emotional state I'm in and what I'm trying to achieve.
Okay, let's talk about something we all need more of: sleep. But this isn't just about feeling well rested. We've got this meta-analysis Improving sleep quality leads to better mental health, and it shows that improving your sleep can actually lead to significant improvements in depression, anxiety, and stress. Do you think there's a connection between sleep and our ability to regulate emotions?
Absolutely. Sleep is crucial for emotional processing and regulation. When you sleep, your brain is busy sorting through the day's events, consolidating memories, and regulating your emotional responses. If you're not getting enough sleep, that process gets disrupted, and it becomes much harder to manage your emotions effectively.
So if you're not getting enough sleep, it's like your emotional control panel. You short-circuiting.
Exactly. Plus, sleep is crucial for hormone regulation. When you're sleep deprived, your stress hormones can go into overdrive, making you feel even more anxious and overwhelmed.
It's a vicious cycle.
It really is. And let's not forget about the impact on your thinking. Sleep deprivation can lead to brain fog, difficulty concentrating, and poor decision-making, all of which can make it harder to stay calm and regulate your emotions effectively.
Which probably makes stressful situations even harder to handle.
Precisely. It all comes back to prioritizing sleep as a key part of your mental health toolkit.
Mm. We've been talking about all these different ways to relax and reset, and I can't help but think about mindfulness meditation. I know it's become quite popular, but there's still a lot of misconception around it. How do you think mindfulness practice contributes to emotional regulation?
Absolutely. People often picture someone sitting in a lotus pose, chanting Om, but it's so much more practical and accessible than that, and it can be incredibly helpful for regulating emotions.
Tell me more. What's the connection between mindfulness and relaxation?
Well, one of the amazing things about mindfulness is that it doesn't just help you de-stress in the moment. It can actually help you change ingrained habits that might be contributing to emotional distress. There's this fascinating research, mindfulness and behavior change, that shows how mindfulness can help you break free from those automatic reactions that lead to unhealthy choices.
So by becoming more aware of our thoughts and feelings, are we better equipped to regulate our emotions?
Exactly. Mindfulness helps you develop a greater awareness of your emotional landscape. You learn to observe your emotions without judgment, which gives you more space to choose how you want to respond to them. Instead of being swept away by your emotions, you can start to make conscious choices about how you want to engage with them.
Mindfulness really is a superpower. Now, we've been talking a lot about different techniques, but I'm curious, are there any downsides to relaxation? Can you relax too much? Could there be any negative impacts on our emotional well-being if we focus too much on relaxation?
That's a great question, and it's important to acknowledge that while relaxation is generally fantastic for you, there can be a few things to watch out for.
Like what?
Well, some people find that excessive relaxation can lead to procrastination or avoidance of challenging tasks. It's like they get so comfortable in that relaxed state that they lose motivation to do anything that requires effort, and that can have negative consequences for their emotional well-being in the long run.
So it's about finding a balance.
Exactly. Relaxation shouldn't be an escape from life. It's a tool to help you engage with life more effectively. Another thing some people experience is relaxation-induced anxiety.
Wait, anxiety from trying to relax?
It sounds strange, but it can happen. Sometimes people become hyper-aware of their physical sensations. During relaxation techniques, their heart rate might change, or they might notice they're breathing differently, and they misinterpret those sensations as anxiety. And that anxiety can snowball, making it harder to relax and regulate their emotions.
So what can you do if that happens?
The key is to remember that these sensations are often normal physiological responses to relaxation. Don't fight them or judge yourself for having them. Just notice them with a sense of curiosity and allow them to be there.
I keep thinking back to that guided meditation transcript and the imagery of the glass elevator, taking you down into your subconscious. I've never thought about visualization like that before. Does that tie into emotional regulation at all?
It's powerful stuff. Guided imagery is all about creating a real experience in your mind, not just thinking about it, but feeling it in your body. And that can have a profound impact on your emotional state.
So it's like taking a mental vacation to a place of peace and calm.
Exactly. And the transcript really emphasizes engaging all your senses and make the experience as vivid as possible, which can help you disengage from negative emotions and create a sense of emotional space.
I love that. The transcript also mentions visualizing a decluttered space in your mind. What's the significance of that?
I think it speaks to the feeling of mental overload that so many of us experience. It's like our minds are cluttered rooms, filled with anxieties and worries. Guided imagery can help create a sense of spaciousness and order in your inner world. which can be incredibly calming and help you feel more in control of your emotions.
We've been talking about all these different techniques, and I think what ties them together is the idea of slowing down, becoming present, and tuning in to what your body is telling you. Would you say that's an important part of emotional regulation?
It's that essential reconnection with yourself that allows true relaxation to take hold. And when you're relaxed and connected to yourself, it becomes much easier to manage your emotions effectively.
Exactly. So,
Yeah.
to our listener, we leave you with this question. What's one small step you can take today to invite more relaxation into your life? Maybe it's a few minutes of deep breathing, a walk in nature, or simply putting your phone away for a while.
Exactly. Remember, you're not just relaxing your body, you're training your mind for greater calm and well-being.
Absolutely. So as we wrap up our deep dive, we challenge you to take action. What will be your first step towards more relaxed and mindful life? Let us know in the comments. Until next time.
Happy relaxing. It's amazing how all these different practices can help us create a more relaxed and balanced emotional state. Speaking of which, this episode of True Mind is brought to you by Swidoprod. That's www.swidoprod.com. They're the masterminds behind the calming and visually stunning content that helps us unwind and de-stress.
I'm a big fan of their work.
Me too. Now let's get back to our deep dive into the science of relaxation. We've been talking a lot about the psychological benefits of relaxation, but what about the physical effect? Does relaxation actually change what's happening in our bodies?
Absolutely. Relaxation triggers a cascade of physiological changes that can have a profound impact on our overall well-being. One of the key players in this process is the autonomic nervous system, which controls a lot of our body's automatic functions, like breathing, heart rate, and digestion.
So when we relax, are we actually influencing those automatic functions? Exactly. The autonomic nervous system has two branches. The sympathetic nervous system, which is responsible for the fight or flight response, and the parasympathetic nervous system, which promotes relaxation and restoration.
So when we're stressed, our sympathetic nervous system kicks in, getting us ready to either fight or flee from a perceived threat. But when we relax, we're activating the parasympathetic nervous system, which helps us calm down and recover.
Precisely. And this shift from sympathetic to parasympathetic dominance has a number of positive effects on our bodies. For example, it slows down our heart rate, lowers blood pressure, and eases muscle tension.
It sounds like relaxation is basically the antidote to stress.
In many ways, it is. Relaxation helps to counteract the negative effects of chronic stress, which can take a toll on our physical and emotional health over time.
This makes me think about how we talk about stress as being so bad for us, but it's really just our body's natural response to challenges or perceived threats. It's only when that stress response becomes chronic that it starts to cause problems.
Exactly, and that's where relaxation techniques come in. They help us regulate that stress response, preventing it from becoming chronic, and helping us return to a state of balance.
We're not just calming our minds, we're actually changing how our bodies respond to stress.
Exactly. It's like we're retraining our bodies to be more resilient in the face of challenges.
Now, we talked about a lot of different relaxation techniques, but are there any that are particularly effective for regulating emotions?
I think all relaxation techniques can contribute to better emotional regulation, but some might be more helpful than others, depending on the individual and the specific situation. For example, if you're feeling overwhelmed by anxiety, deep breathing exercises can be incredibly effective in calming your nervous system and bringing your emotions back into balance.
And what about for those times when you're feeling really down or depressed? Are there any relaxation techniques that can help lift your mood?
Guided imagery can be really helpful in those situations. By creating positive and uplifting mental images, you can shift your emotional state and start to feel more hopeful and optimistic.
Sounds like having a variety of relaxation techniques in your toolkit could be really beneficial. That way you can choose the best approach, depending on what you're feeling and what you're trying to achieve.
Absolutely. It's like having a whole pharmacy of natural remedies for stress and emotional distress. And the best part is that these remedies don't come with any negative side effects.
I love that. So to our listener, we encourage you to experiment with different relaxation techniques and find what works best for you, whether it's deep breathing, guided imagery, progressive muscle relaxation, or spending time in nature. There are so many ways to tap into the power of relaxation and create a more balanced and fulfilling life. You know, it's really empowering to know that we have so much control over our own well-being. And speaking of empowerment, this episode of True Mind is produced by Swidoprod. That's www.swidoprod.com. They're They're all about helping people unlock their full potential. And we're grateful for their support in bringing you this deep dive into relaxation.
They do amazing work.
They really do. Now, before we wrap things up, I want to circle back to something you mentioned earlier. Relaxation-induced anxiety. It seems counterintuitive that trying to relax could actually make someone more anxious.
Yeah.
But you said it happens sometimes.
It does, and it can be really confusing. For people who are trying to manage their anxiety, they think they're doing something wrong. But it's actually a fairly common experience. It often happens when people are so focused on trying to relax that they become hyper-aware of their bodily sensations.
So instead of letting go and relaxing, they're actually tightening up and creating more tension.
Exactly. And then they start to notice those sensations. Their heart beating faster, their breathing changing, and they misinterpret them as signs of anxiety. It becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy.
So what can people do if they experience this kind of anxiety during relaxation exercises?
The key is to remember that these sensations are often normal physiological responses. It's like when you start exercising. Your heart rate and breathing increase. But that's not a sign that something's wrong. It's a sign that your body's responding appropriately to the increased demand.
So how do you apply that same logic to relaxation-induced anxiety?
It's about shifting your perspective. Instead of seeing those physical changes as something to fear, try to view them as a sign that your body's actually starting to relax. It's a process. And sometimes that process involves some fluctuations in your physical state.
So it's like you have to trust the process.
Yeah.
And not get too caught up in the moment-to-moment changes.
Exactly. And if you find yourself getting anxious, try to gently redirect your attention back to the relaxation technique. Don't get discouraged. Just keep practicing. And you'll gradually become more comfortable with the process.
It sounds like mindfulness plays a big role in this as well. By developing that non-judgmental awareness of your thoughts and feelings, you can start to observe those anxiety-provoking sensations without getting swept away by them.
Absolutely. Mindfulness is an incredible tool for managing anxiety, both in general and in the context of relaxation practices.
Well, I think we've covered a lot of ground today. We've explored the science behind relaxation, delved into the psychological and physiological benefits, and even touched on some of the potential challenges that can arise.
It's been a fascinating conversation.
It really has. And to our listeners, we hope you've gained some valuable insights into the power of relaxation and how it can transform your life.
Remember, relaxation isn't a luxury. It's an essential part of a healthy and fulfilling life.
Absolutely. So we encourage you to make relaxation a priority in your life. Experiment with different techniques. Find what works for you and start reaping the incredible benefits. And be sure to let us know in the comments what your favorite relaxation techniques are and how you're incorporating them into your daily routine. Until next time, stay mindful and stay relaxed.